Will your business survive the COVID pandemic? Most won't. In fact, look behind me. Almost every business on that block is closed for good. Today on Strategic Performance TV, we'll discuss how you can have a business rebound in the next 100 days. Hi, I'm Dave McGee, and for the past 14 years, I've helped small business owners and leaders clarify their strategy, improve their performance, align with their purpose, and lead a fulfilling life. So if you're ready to have a business rebound in the next 100 days, let's get after it. Now, I don't know about you, but the first 7 months of 2020 didn't really play out as I had hoped. If you're like most small business owners I know, at the end of last year, you were ready to put 2019 to bed and move on to the new year. And early in the year, 2020 seemed to have some promise. But then in March, disaster struck. As COVID-19 infections grew, our governmental leaders decided to shut down the economy. At first, we're told it was for 30 days, then just a bit longer. And then as it became longer and longer, state and local governments announced phased reopening plans. But today, a little more than 4 months after the shutdown, many small businesses are still feeling the pinch of the pandemic disaster. And I think you can call it a disaster. And here are some statistics from the Small Business Administration and FEMA about how businesses are affected after a disaster. And they're not promising. 40% of all businesses do not reopen after a disaster. Of those that do open, 25% close within a year, 25% more close within 2 years, which means after a number of years, really only 10% of all businesses that were open prior to a disaster actually make it and thrive. Now, this is not so much a disaster like a hurricane or an earthquake or a wildfire, so these stats may not play out entirely true, but we are seeing right now that close to 40% of all businesses that were closed as a result of the pandemic have not reopened and are not planning to reopen. So that stat's holding true. It is likely that 25% of those that reopen this year will be closed within a year. Now, here's the truth. The businesses that don't reopen, they were probably struggling prior to the pandemic anyway. They didn't have sound principles in place. The businesses that open and then close within a year, those are going to be the businesses that kind of waited. They weren't proactive. They weren't engaged with their customer even when they were closed. And then when they reopened, they got busy with tactics, but it was too late. They had no momentum and they had to restart coming out of the gate. The businesses that'll last a year or longer and then close, those are the businesses that they had a little momentum going out of the pandemic. Maybe they stayed in contact with their customers. Maybe they looked for ways to serve their customers while business was being disrupted. But those business owners are going to get too focused on trying to go back to the way things were before. They're going to lack a strategy. All strategy, no tactics. And that is not where we want to be. Military strategist and tactician Sun Tzu said this: tactics without strategy, that's the noise before the defeat. Tactics are important, but they have to be aligned with a strategy. So what is a strategy? Well, a strategy is basically a few questions that you answer for your business. One, what does winning look like? What does winning look like now? Why is it important? Where will you play the game? Who will you play with and against? And then how will you win? So if you want to have a rebound in 2020, we need to be focused on strategy. As I'm recording this episode, there are 137 days left in the year. What will you do with those days? Will you rebound? Well, I want to leave you with some critical steps to ensure you do. And before we get to them, we should probably define what is a rebound. Well, according to the dictionary, a rebound is to spring back. It's to bounce back after hitting a hard service. And rebound actually comes from the French word bondir, and that means to bounce up. So that's what we want to do. We want to spring back after hitting a hard service. We want to bounce up. And when you think of a rebound, what do you think of? I think of basketball, right? And so if we're going to rebound in our business, we may want to look at some of the fundamentals and principles of what makes a great rebounder in basketball. In fact, USA Basketball has a great training video on how to rebound. I'm going to link to it in the show notes so you can watch it. The principles in that video work for basketball, but they also work for your business. Now, I've taken the time to synthesize those for you, so if you don't want to watch the basketball video, here's what it is. Here's how you become a rebounder. Number one, you locate. You locate. In basketball, when you're locating, what you're doing is you're locating where the ball's going to go, and you're locating the player that you need to box out. You're actually stepping into the player. You're locating your opportunity. And then once you step into the player, you pivot. You turn around. You get in position so that you can play from a position of strength. And finally, you aggressively go get the ball. Don't wait. Take action now. So let's break that down into how you can utilize that in your business. Well, number one, we need to locate. That's go locate the opportunity. Locate the opportunity. What is the opportunity now? I guarantee you there's an opportunity now. It's going to be different than the opportunity you had prior to the COVID pandemic. We need to go locate it. We need to step into the opportunity that's in front of us. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Review your 3 to 5 year vision. Take a look at your 3 to 5 year vision going into 2020. What adjustments do we need to make? Now from where you are, look 3 to 5 years out in the future. What would that look like? 3 to 5 years from now, what's a win for you? Then let's kind of review what our strengths were before the pandemic. We want to play from a position of strength. We need to know what our strengths are. So what was your business really good at? What did you excel at before the pandemic? What were your natural strengths? What were you really good at prior to the pandemic? I'm going to encourage you to make a list of them. Make a list of the things that were great in your business that you were strong at. Make a list of your natural strengths. And then what do you want to bring back? So there are some things that you did really well prior to the pandemic. We want to leverage those. So make a list of the top 10 things that you want to bring back into your business. And once we locate the opportunity, we want to pivot. We want to get into position. So here are a couple things we need to do. In all likelihood, you're going to need to adjust your 2020 goal. I'm having you look out to the 3 to 5 year vision to give us hope and to give us a target for the future. But in all honesty, for most businesses, you're going to need to readjust your 2020 goal. And so what does winning look like now? Next, what do you need to eliminate? So we talked about the strengths you want to move forward. What were you good at before? We want to continue those. What are some things we need to eliminate? Some of the things we need to eliminate were distractions, things we were doing but we weren't really good at. Some of the things we need to eliminate are expenses. In fact, one of the critical things you need to do right now if you want to rebound is look at your finances. I'm going to encourage you to prioritize your finances and see if there's a place to cut. We want to streamline. And then what positive changes have come from the recent challenges? You know, I've talked to a number of people who, having sheltered in home and work remotely, are enjoying the time that they have to spend with their family. What are some of the positive changes that came from the recent challenges for your business? We want to carry those over. So from an action step standpoint, here's what I'd love for you to do. I'd love for you to make 2 lists. We've already got the list of 10 things you want to carry over from before the pandemic. Now, what are some things that you've had to adjust that you're doing now that you want to continue to do? 3 to 5 positive changes from the situation we're now experiencing that you want to continue when this is all over. And then what are 3 to 5 things that you used to do before the pandemic that you no longer want to do? Or maybe some things that you used to spend money on that you no longer want to spend money on. Let's eliminate some of those things that we no longer need to do so that we can get in position. And finally, let's go get the ball. Let's go get the ball. The next 100 days, you need to have a plan and you need to take action. So I said right now, 137 days left in this year. So let's have a 100-day focus. You need to have clear targets and an action plan to achieve those targets in the next 100 days. You know, presidents, we're getting close to an election here, presidents and CEOs will often put an intense focus on their first 100 days because they know it builds momentum and they know that their entire career might just be judged on what they did in the first 100 days. Well, let's look at this as your election. You just took over a new business. What are you going to do in the next 100 days to make sure you get momentum and that you'll be judged favorably? I've got a couple of ideas for you. The next 100 days, here's where I think you need to focus. And the focus is a little different than I would normally work with a business owner on. Typically, we're going to start with sales and marketing. I think you need to have a financial management focus first. We need to make sure that financially you can weather the storm. And so to do that, you need to prioritize your expenses. Make a list of all your expenses and then prioritize them. Most important to the success of your business to least important to the success of your business. So if we need to cut, we know we're going to cut from the bottom of the list up. Next, focus on profits, not revenue. Not all sales are the same. You may have a sale that's bringing in a ton of revenue, but the profit margins are slim. We want to focus on profits right now, not revenue. You may have to get rid of some sales opportunities that have thin margins to capitalize on sales opportunities that have large margins. We want to reduce expenses and increase our profits. And then we want to make sure that we're continually reviewing our profit and loss statement at least once a month. Sales and marketing, let's re-engage with your past clients. If you've been waiting, now's the time to get after it. If you've been engaged with your clients, redouble your efforts. Let's engage our past clients. Let's ask them what they need from us and how we can best serve them. Who's your most profitable customer? Not all customers are created equally. Maybe we need to go after the ones that have the largest profit margins for you and identify what's the problem you solve for them. Customers still have problems. In fact, they probably have more problems now than they did before the pandemic. What are the problems we can solve for your most profitable customers? And then let's go re-engage them. Customer service, here's the deal. Make it easy to do business with you. Let's remove the pain points. Let's create an excellent customer experience and let's be consistent. You may need to streamline what you offer. If I were running a restaurant right now, I would offer a smaller menu of our most profitable items that our customers like the best. And then I would make it in an excellent fashion and be consistent with it every single time. So what is the menu for your business? Operations, what procedures no longer serve your business? We talked a little bit about it. There are some things you were doing going into the pandemic that no longer serve your business. We need to eliminate those. What new systems do you need to implement? Things are changing. How do you need to change with it? And then how can you best streamline? And then lastly, innovation. This is a time of challenge. And in a time of challenge, opportunities are everywhere. We often miss them because we want to go back to the way things were. Customers have new needs. What are the new needs of your customers? Competitors have left the marketplace. How can you fill that void? It's very important that you look now for an opportunity. So I want to leave you with some next steps. The next 100 days, here's where we want to go. Number one, we want to review your visions and goals. Reset your vision to the next 3 to 5 years and reset your goal between now and the end of the year. Determine your 100-day targets. And from those, create an action plan. And to make it easy for you, I'm going to suggest to you that you take advantage of my 5-day business rebound challenge. And I'm going to share a link to that in the show notes below. Here's the deal. There are a little more than 100 days left in this year. What will you do with them? I suggest you have a rebound. Locate your opportunity, pivot if you have to, but get in position to win, then go get the ball. Let's finish this year strong so you can thrive in 2021. Now, I'm going to share some resources in the show notes below, and I'm offering a free strategy session. If you'd like to help develop your strategy, spend an hour with me on the phone so we can build out your strategy for the rest of the year and beyond, click the link below and schedule your appointment with me. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Strategic Performance TV. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. And if you know of a small business owner that would benefit from today's message, please be sure to share this with them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I know I will. See you next week.